It is Monday, April 8th at 5:30 p.m. We will now call to order the Public Safety Committee meeting. And present in the hall is
Chris Marino.
Chris Duback. Online is Josh Hecht.
Present.
Right?
Josh, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Terrific. So why don't we go ahead and start with the March 11, 2024 minutes.
I didn't have any questions. Did you?
No,
Or concerns? What do we have to make a motion for that at all?
yes. Josh, any notes, questions?
Oh, looks good to me.
The March 11th minutes, sure. I'll second that. And any other questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
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 So we have, we'll now open it up to public comment on agenda items, 2 minutes per person, 14 minutes per topic. We have no one in the hall right now. Is there anyone online that would like to make public comment? Now is your time. Hearing none?
Seeing none.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and move on to new business. And I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to move up the flock camera presentation by B ahead of 5A.
Chris Marino, second? Or no, we have to do that.
And any objection? And right. Why don't we go ahead and move that item up then? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Kristen, are you with us?
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Welcome.
Would you like me
Thank you.
to, I don't know if you want to take an echo here and just kind of tell us a little bit about Flock and maybe go through the slide deck or whatever you got. Otherwise, it's up to you. If you want me to start.
Sure, I can jump right in unless you wanted to share anything up front.
Nope. I kind of planted the seed a little bit already about Flock and what it is. Do you want me to give a screen that you want to share, or is this adequate?
Yes, I can. Let's see. Am I able to share my screen?
Yeah. Let's see. Are you able to ask to share and I'll accept it? Does that work from your end or no? Might be on the bottom.
Let's see. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Maybe try the advanced. Under that?
On the bottom?
Under screen, under share screen. That one.
Oh, there we go.
Mhm.
I'm
Found it?
able to share. Yep. Okay, perfect. All right, there we go.
All right.
Can y'all see that okay? Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Whoop. Jumping ahead. Okay. So a little bit about Flock. Our mission is to eliminate crime and to shape a safer future together. And we realize that's an ambitious mission, but we are very much anchored in that mission and dedicated to that. So why Flock safety? We observe that nationally, police and law enforcement agencies across the country have limited resources, staffing can be quite a challenge, and crime continues to occur daily, sometimes hourly in communities, and trust is paramount. So at Flock, we really see the opportunity to use technology for good Our technology is able to multiply your force and really capture and distribute objective evidence to the right users, to your officers. And we also believe in engaging the community to support the program and to grow the program. So how does the technology work? So your police department chief is looking at license plate recognition cameras, and a good representation of what those camera captures is this image up here in the top right of the screen. The LPR cameras capture a still image of a rear of a vehicle, and then our machine learning takes that information and categorizes and organizes that into a searchable database. The system also is integrated with NCIC, the National Criminal Information Center, and NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and your agency can also create custom hot lists that alert your officers to wanted vehicles as well. Our platform, we look at it as sort of a subscription service. So when you enter into services with Flock, we provide you with everything. We own and maintain the hardware and software. We provide training. We provide assistance to keep your camera health optimal. So it's full service deployment, and that allows cities to focus on cities' work and lets Flock maintain everything with regard to the cameras. We're 24/7 coverage, and we're also ethically made, which I will get into a little bit more in depth in the next few slides. So this is license plate recognition. It gathers that objective evidence and gets it to officers. It alerts police of wanted vehicles, and it is used to solve crime and adheres to all state laws. So what it is not facial recognition. We don't have any facial recognition tied to the LPR system whatsoever. It's not tied to any personal identifiable information. We are not red light cameras or traffic enforcement. The system requires a search reason to access the information, which creates an audit trail. And then data is not stored beyond 30 days. Anytime an image is captured, that a life cycle, that clock starts ticking, and at the 30-day mark, that image is hard deleted from the system and not recoverable unless the department has accessed that image as part of a criminal investigation and has downloaded that into their evidence repository system. Mitigating risk and protecting privacy is important to us, and so we have built-in privacy safeguards into the system. And those include the footage. All of the data is owned by your city and department and will never be sold or shared by Flock. Again, we have that 30-day retention period in place, and that short retention period ensures that all of the images, all of the data collected that is not associated with a crime is automatically deleted at that 30-day mark and unrecoverable. All of that data is securely stored in the Amazon Web Services cloud, and it's also encrypted end to end. I mentioned before, there is a search reason required for an audit trail so that administrators of the system can go in and see exactly how their system is being used and monitor that use. We are not predictive policing. Again, we're not used for traffic enforcement, and we are not connected to registration or any third-party databases such as Carfax or DMV. We do have, and something that's unique to Flock is a transparency portal. And this is a visual of Vallejo, California PD's transparency portal. And what that portal is it's a Flock generated web page that provides a public-facing page that shares with your community how the department is using their system. And it's customizable for each department. So, depending upon what's important to your community and important to the department to share publicly, we can tailor that. So Vallejo, for example, has chosen to include some policy information. So those acceptable and unacceptable use cases. They have their ALPR policy linked on the page. They've also shared their data retention, and a list of all of the law enforcement agencies that they have chosen to share their data with, as well as some high-level statistics on how the system had been used in the past 30 days, including hot list hits and how many searches were conducted. Something else that's a great, valuable tool for administrators of the system, so an internal dashboard, is what we call our Insights dashboard, and that provides administrators of the system a way to take a look at how their cameras are providing a return on investment, how many crimes have been impacted by use of the cameras, you know, how have our investigations, excuse me, been impacted by utilization of the cameras. There's also administrators can take a peek and see how their camera's health is doing and how they're operating. So while Flock proactively monitors cameras' health, administrators are also able to go in and see how they're operating. And then this is also where that audit search history will live. So the system is proactive. Again, your officers will receive real-time alerts of any wanted vehicle that passes by one of the cameras within about 20 seconds. It's investigative. They are able to, with that search reason, look for specific information that the cameras have captured over the past 30 days. And then lastly, Flock cameras also serve as a deterrent. Once word spreads that Flock is in your community, makes it much less desirable for individuals intent on committing crimes in your community to do so. And we're already solving and preventing crime in your state. This is a list of all of our current Flock customers in the state of Wisconsin. And then just to share some success and how cameras have helped agencies impact crime. This is a story shared by Barron PD, and they utilize the cameras to help solve an armed robbery. So officers had responded to reports of an armed robbery, and the elderly victim stated that two suspects had entered his residence. They had assaulted him, tied him up, and stolen over $10,000 in cash, guns, and jewelry. Investigators were able to interview neighbors who stated that they gave a vehicle description of a vehicle they had seen in the area that they had not been familiar with, provided that description to investigators. And officers used that vehicle description. They didn't have a license plate number, but they used that vehicle description and entered that into the system and queried nearby Flock cameras, and were able to identify a suspect vehicle that was near the scene around the time that the crime had occurred. They were able to use collateral information to identify the vehicle's owner and were able to issue a warrant for that person's arrest. Out of Rice Lake PD, they received an alert from a Flock camera that a stolen U-Haul van out of Eau Claire had been detected nearby. And so the Barron County Sheriff and Rice Lake PD located that U-Haul in a parking lot. Two men entered the U-Haul and officers approached. It fled the scene, and officers were able to deploy stop sticks, vehicle. They were able to approach the suspects, and it resulted in an arrest. And linked to that arrest, they were allegedly in possession of illegal narcotics, including meth. We find that many times with stolen vehicles, other criminal charges are also associated. And then this is it out of West Allis PD, an armed robbery. West Allis officers received an alert that a Kia wanted in connection with an armed robbery out of Milwaukee was in the area. Officers initiated a traffic stop. They ended up pursuing the car after it fled. It ended in a crash, and 3 suspects were apprehended, 2 of which had several felony warrants. And then another alert on a separate vehicle, a stolen Hyundai, came in connection, that was in connection with a Milwaukee homicide. Officers were able to respond. Again, a chase ensued and concluded in Milwaukee, where the subjects were arrested. And lastly, so Flock's mission is to eliminate crime, but an unforeseen impact that we've had is on locating missing vulnerable persons. And this is a story from Port Washington PD. A silver alert was issued out of the town of Brookfield when a senior had been reported missing. And this happened the silver alert was issued at 2:43 p.m. Within that same minute, that vehicle had set off an alert that it had passed by a flock camera. And so officers were notified very quickly, within seconds. And within an hour of the plate being entered into the flock system, that senior was located and returned safely to their family. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and I will pass it back to Chief if you had anything additional to add, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions as well.
Sure. Yeah, so Hudson, North Hudson, Stillwater PD, Woodbury PD are like the major players around us that have this. Sounds like St. Croix County Sheriff's Office is eventually gonna get some as well. Obviously to the north with Barron. So it's kind of nice, you know, if we could set up our section of the network in the same time accessing different resources as well. For example, we did have a burglary the other day in town. The suspect ended up taking some of the stuff stolen to a pawn shop. We were able to get a suspect description. We knew based off of previous history with this person that they drove a specific vehicle. We were able to call North Hudson, and they were able to kind of bring up some entries of this vehicle on Flock, specifically the ones in Woodbury, right by this pawn shop. So it tied really nicely, and it kind of just flowed, and there's criminal charges that resulted from that. He's innocent until proven guilty, but I think it's a solid tool to have. It's 24/7. The retention period is 30 days. However, if we are investigating a crime specific to this person, we're able to download those entries and retain those indefinitely. I know that you brought up policy. There's a whole bunch of model policies, which are you guys able to see my screen? This isn't it. I'll just bring up one of the model policies. I don't know if Vallejo is the best one to use right now. They're kind of a subject of a Netflix documentary that's kind of going kind of wild, but. So we have Lexipol, which would be kind of a plug and play for us to be able to kind of insert this and modify it to kind of our Wisconsin state statute and specifications, but you know, there's a lot of oversight to this too. Like the audit trail, and you have to enter in a reason why you're accessing it. Everything's kind of linked and logged. You know, I also asked about like, well, this is kind of create like a public records nightmare too. If, let's say like someone's stalking somebody and they want to know where they've been. And it's got to be very specific. In addition to that, the way it was explained to me is like Somerset PD isn't necessarily the custodian of the record until it's downloaded. So if we download it in relation to a crime, okay, now that's going to be subject to open records. However, part of the open records process is doing this balancing test to determine, you know, what the reason for the request is, and if it is for nefarious reasons or someone's safety is in question, that'd be a reason to deny that. So a lot of my big questions have been answered, and I think, you know, one of the big concerns I had too was, okay, Big Brother's always watching, you know, now we're moving to this police state kind of a deal, and I think Flock does a really nice job of balancing that.
Right.
And it's not this constant police kind of a deal. 30 days I think is reasonable. We're not looking for traffic violations. It's not a red light camera. It's just another tool, an investigative tool to be used in like serious high-level crimes.
So is this one camera?
So the quote that we have here is for 2 cameras. One would be kind of a stationary fixed camera. The other one would be one that's more mobile, that's has a battery that's got to be recharged every 30,000 hits. So this all kind of got brought up a little bit, but we're looking at maybe a local business who might be willing to sponsor one or both of these cameras. It's still a question mark about whether or not that's gonna happen. But, so it's about about $3,250 per camera per year. The Flex is a little bit more, expensive than the Falcon, stationary one. The stationary one comes with like a solar panel, and it can be mounted on a pole or a fixed pole through, flock, but, my vision for this would be probably the Main Street Bridge. I think it'd be nice during concerts to have kind of this camera that's has the ability to be moved around. You know, if we do get some other, other events going on in town, whether it's at the high school or, out at any future developments, I think it'd be nice to have one that's a little bit more mobile. And Flock's not only, targeted market of law enforcement, but they're also selling to, homeowners associations, private businesses. HOAs are a big one though, where,
That technology.
Yeah. and, it also is kind of scalable as well. If there's a private business that has a camera that's well enough that wants to integrate with this, it sounds like that's an option for about half the price. There is a possible add-on for our dash cameras as well, that have zoom capabilities that are able to capture a license plate essentially. So I feel like dipping our toe in the water might be, the best route forward here with 2 cameras, one stationary, one a little bit more mobile. I think the price is super reasonable. When you look at like license plate readers that are attached to squad cars. The squad car and that I was affiliated with University of Wisconsin River Falls Police Department. Was over $100,000 with the software plus the mounting. And now it's on like a 2011 Crown Vic and they can't get rid of it because it's got the cameras on it. So they use it primarily for parking enforcement, which is a completely different realm. But I don't know. You guys have any immediate questions that come to mind?
Where would you put the one that you're just gonna have up? Just that one that's stationary, right?
So yeah, like I said, the Main Street Bridge, I think over the Apple River there, I think somewhere on either side would be good. I think that's a major artery to town.
Yep.
As we felt last year when it was closed.
Yes.
But I think a lot of agencies have been using them at every entrance to their cities. That way they cover all aspects. However, I think that's kind of cost prohibitive for us at this point. I know Hudson, I think, has over 30 cameras.
Wow.
So, yeah, like I said, dipping the toe in the water, I think would be, just being part of that larger network too, and being another data point for, and it's all shared, so it's, Flock. You saw the slide with the rest of the Wisconsin agencies. I don't think it'd be super relevant to have Milwaukee PD for us, you know what I mean? Like, but, for an Amber Alert or Silver Alert is like an overdue motorist, someone that might have dementia that's away from home. And there's a lot of tragic stories about people that, run out of gas and they end up dying in their car, and it's negative 30 degrees or whatever. But I think that's a really good use case scenario for something like this. And the thing in Barron, that was scary, just a random attack of an old man. And they tied him up. Just wild, some folks from the cities.
Yeah.
So having this integrated network within, especially the Washington County agencies in Minnesota, I think, we're starting to see some overflow over this way. And like the pawn shop example, these folks, They typically go over to the cities to dump some of the stuff that they sell here, so, I don't know, I find a lot more reasons to do this than reasons not to.
Yeah, I agree.
So is
So,
this something that you're gonna move on like soon or?
No, this quote, I mean, we can get a refresh quote if it's something that we don't take action on within the next. It looks like this one expires on July 31st. So one of my concerns was they increased the price, Kristen, I don't know if you can help me, I think it was either $500 or $1,000 per Falcon. So,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
yeah,
On that, so that was our first price increase since we began operation in 2017, and just with our materials and kind of the state of prices increasing all around, we needed to do that. But again, can't predict the future, but again, we've only had one price increase in the last 5-6+ years.
and it sounds like some of these agencies that have been with you were either in subscriptions or offered a extended subscription at the time that the price did increase, so they could get locked in for how many years they want it. So,
Correct.
so, yeah, I mean, I think dipping the toe in the water for a year wouldn't be bad. If there was a price increase, we probably have the ability to extend to a subscription, like a multi-year contract, but it'd be nice to get some private support from this too in terms of funding. But at the same time, I think we could probably find this in our budget at
That's what I was gonna
this
ask.
price point.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
Do we have the budget for it?
yeah.
so there's this one-time fee, so that would be just for the first year. And then after that,
Yep, the reoccurring total would be that $6,500 number.
sounds like great technology.
When does our vaccine come up?
The what? Oh, yeah. I think we might have one more year with that. Either it's this summer or next summer.
Well, I definitely think it's great to be a part of the bigger picture, right?
Yeah,
Sounded like it was a pretty helpful tool.
Mhm.
And then it's, so Block as a whole, like, you're just this Somerset would be a part of that. But yet, we could still, anybody that has Block,
we can access.
you have their
Yeah.
information.
I think there's a kind of a handshake that takes place with the agency that hosts it. And typically, I'm not aware of one that would be rejected, or there'd probably be some good reason or some really bad blood for for that not to happen.
Yeah, so just to add to that, Flock we very intentionally want our customers to own 100% of their data. So those decisions lie with each of our customers. But certainly law enforcement sees the value in sharing and collaborating and providing that access. So there is Chief would be able to kind of take a look at the radius and see what agencies would make sense for him to share that information with. And again, we really want to support and honor that data belongs 100% to the department. So, yep.
Okay, well. Are you looking for an actual dollar recommendation from us tonight?
I think that's something we have to decide, whether we wanna kind of approve it and find the money, or should we wait for the money and then approve it?
Right,
So. That's the question. I'd be all for if we wanna move forward and find it, maybe. If we do get private funding, great. If we don't, let's find it within our budget. Um, We can even put it under a capital improvement type of recurring project as well. So that might be my recommendation, is move forward now and we'll find a way to make it work.
Okay.
Josh, I'd like to make a motion to approve the flock system and move forward.
Second.
Should we reference the quote maybe, or? Does that,
Sure. That'll be for the first year, $7,150.
Okay. Well, I agree. So you said, the year one total is $7,150
Nice.
for the block cameras. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? And okay, motion carried. We'll go ahead and recommend this to the full board.
Okay.
Okay,
thanks, Krista.
thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for your time.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, lovely. Well, now why don't we surf back to discussion possible recommendation, Pea Soup Days Parade Route.
So yeah, it sounds like this went in front of Public Works. Public Works looked at it and the original plan was to use the Somerset School District like we've used in years past. People would start the school district, usually they use that big bus lot between the high school and middle school. Come down Bruce Larson Way, up Sunrise, past the Village Hall, turn left down Main Street. It sounds like there's some kind of concerns about the school district property and some liability and whether or not it's best practice for us to be detouring traffic. Sometimes traffic that's upset and flustered and from out of town and they're looking to get to their cabin or whatever. Putting, village detours through the school district property where the school district could say no at any time too. For a lot of reasons, Bob and I are taking a uniformed position and saying like, this probably isn't the best idea. So, we went back to the drawing board with Bart Palmer, who's affiliated with, I think, the Lions, and he's been helping organize this parade for a long time. And looked at a lot of different options, and we kind of narrowed down, tradition and what they kind of wanted to include was Sunrise Drive and Main Street. The Main Street businesses really advocated years back to get the parade route to kind of detour or kind of go past Main Street, just to have people there, they're present. I know they set up like a DJ booth with the MC, kind of by my happy place last year. So what it used to be a linear route, which would go from the school district up to that's part of Parnell Street. So I thought that worked out okay. One of my things is, we kind of want to have some type of alternate route or detour for folks to go through where it's not gridlocked for an hour and a half. Where people can still get by some way, somehow. So we looked at a lot of different options. We looked at shutting different streets down and we kind of looked at what's arguably safest. And this is kind of what we settled on. So one of the other complaints was, well, not a complaint, just reality is, it was kind of long. And the walkers in the parade were having a hard time and we had someone collapse last year in the parade. And it's it was a long route. So we looked at kind of condensing it as well. So we initially talked about shutting down Clucher Drive and using that as a staging area. But that's also a major artery and bypass for people around town. So alternatively, we created, well, we also looked at Larry Forest Park. That was the primary kind of rework. We'd use Larry Forest Park as kind of a staging area. Well, it turns out Larry Forest just isn't big enough. And to get floats turned around and people pointing the right direction, even if we went all the way down Forest Drive, that A-frame property that's way back there, there's no place to turn around back there either. We talked about, using Sunrise Camp maybe to get people turned around. And, we looked at that and it's just, if it rains, it'd be too muddy. We'd have to give, private property permission. So kind of coming back, one of our solutions was using, some of our surface level streets like Oak, Willow, Acorn, and Cedar to kind of set up staging. So, Bart's got this, process where he could put stakes on the side in the easement, where it would just say like, float 1 through 50, or lined up, on Oak Street from Sunrise to First Street, and then the next ones could go back from there. But if everyone enters for staging off of Clucher and they turn in, they're already pointing in the right direction. There's not a lot of traffic there. Typically, the people that live there are, are the only ones that should be driving on that road, opposed to shutting down Sunrise or Clucher. So that seemed like a reasonable solution to staging at the beginning of the
It
parade.
makes it quite a bit smaller too, right? That's
Yes.
nice for the walk, like you're saying, when it gets to be really warm.
Yeah, it kind of condenses it, and, me driving through the parade last year, you notice these big gaps where there's nobody. Especially from like the school district all the way down to like Sunrise, all the way down to like, okay, you start getting down to this side of Sunrise, now it picks up. There's a lot more people downtown, more people over there, and then it's desolate, up Depot.
Sure.
So the idea would be to start the parade at Sunrise and Oak. Everyone on the parade would be coming off of Oak Street. Traffic would be shut down at the intersection of Sunrise and Clucher, which would create this
Go
bypass.
around.
So in black is the bypass lanes where people can get around town. The yellow, the highlighter is, the parade route, and then the orange is the staging area. So yes, it'd be condensed, and essentially it would start at Sunrise and Oak, and it would end at Main and Depot. So Main Street from Depot to Francis would still essentially be shut down. So people would be able to turn right and go down Depot around town if they wanted to, but once the parade comes up, I think the officer there can help regulate traffic. And once the parade's over, people have the ability to take the sidewalk on Depot and loop back to their starting location. Or if they're in a car and they met at the school district, they can take their car around through the meadows and get back. Or they can loop around through Clucher as well. So there's a lot of different options. Even the park that's right there, that's off of that, Main Street and Elm that connects that neighborhood. People could get back to the parade that way if they wanted to watch the rest of the parade. Ideally, we'd have a nice loop where it starts and finishes in the same vicinity. I think this is as close as we can get to this. We also looked at doing like a linear one, which would go from, Oak and Sunrise all the way up to, Parnell and First, Community Church there. Is it Christ Lutheran? I know? Yeah. But that's more linear, and then it also kind of gridlocks traffic a little bit more. And then it also takes people further away from their starting point. So, I mean, like, we weighed a lot of different options. We asked Bart, like, well, what's your ideal route? And he's like, the ideal route's the one that gets approved. So he's just looking to get, something improved here. And I think this checks all the boxes. It goes by downtown, it uses Sunrise. It's close to a loop, but it's not quite a loop. There's sidewalks along Depot Street. I think the only other question would be, how do people that live on, Willow, Acorn, and Oak feel about, maybe some floats or some fire trucks in their
Don't
yard,
bother me.
in the front of their house for a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
For what, 2 hours?
Yeah, I think staging would be close to 2 hours by the time it's all set up.
I don't,
The traffic detour is gonna make a lot of people happy.
Yes, and
I don't think it's that big of an issue.
this also kind of reduces the number of resources that we need too for intersections from a law enforcement
Yeah.
perspective.
Heck, yeah.
I think something that we're really conscious of too is, you look at what happened at that Waukesha Christmas parade in the southeast side of the state where,
Yep.
this guy was fleeing a situation and he kind of drove through barricades and next thing you know, he's in the parade route.
Right.
And, we're kind of trying to mitigate some of that as well. So I think this is kind of the closest we can get at this point to a win-win-win. And, if we try it this year, if you guys approve it, or we think this is a good idea, and it doesn't work, by all means, let's go back to the drawing board, but I think this is,
will work.
so I calculated, I did a Google Earth search on, let me see if
I mean, I think the really one nice thing about this is like we're, on Willow Street, it's like, it's like a horseshoe there, so it's not like a lot of traffic through there anyway.
Right.
And I'd like to think a lot of these people are probably going to that parade anyway.
Yeah.
It seems like most of us will just walk over there anyway,
Right,
right?
yeah,
Cause I live there, over there.
you kind of get like a free parade on your way over. You
Basically,
walk it
I know
too.
my little girl will love it.
Yeah, so, yeah, and I'm sure there might be some people upset. I think it's probably be a good point to have people not block people's driveways.
Mhm.
Or if there is a conflict for them to move their float for someone to get out of their driveway. I think everyone's super reasonable,
I would guess that they do, yeah.
but the staging area is super long. So the parade route would be, right around 300 feet or 3,000 feet, which is, gosh. I wanna say. Let's just look at the old ones. The old one was super long,
Mhm.
so it more than cuts it in half. Which I think condensed might be an okay thing,
I think I think it seems pretty nice.
but the staging area is arguably bigger than, the school district, and it's significantly bigger than what, Larry Forest Park would have been. But, yeah,
Seems like a smart compromise to me.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, I feel like you can get them lined up and just.
right, they'd
you
be
know,
set, ready to
just
go.
keep line, roll out. Oh. I think it's a good deal.
Chief, are you able to share your screen and just kind of show on a map what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Here it is, Josh.
Are you able-
So this is Sunrise. What, can you see it?
No. Are you able to
Oh,
just share your screen?
yeah, I'm trying to. I got it pulled up. It's on the TV. Let me, how does that look?
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, there it is. So yeah, here's Larry Forest Park. This would be the school district down here. This is Sunrise. This is Klucher, which turns into Depot. So again, the dotted, black, which is Sharpie, is the detour. So people would still be able to get north, they'd be able to get around and go east using River Street. You get west into the meadows. It kind of leaves traffic to kind of flow around here. But yeah, the staging would be kind of these legacy streets in Somerset. And, eventually they would all loop back around to Oak, to start off Oak. And the beginning of the parade would actually start right here at Oak and Sunrise. So people could line up anywhere along the orange or the yellow section. And I kind of put red light or, marks where officers and or barricade, well, officers for sure would be, we have barricades on some of these surface level streets. I think another thing to note is this property where Mac Daddy's used to be, is in the process of selling, or maybe it has been sold, which there might be some construction, which I don't know if it's gonna start that early or not. Hud Street is also gonna be closed, from Main Street up until Garfield here. There's a 3-on-3 basketball tournament that's gonna be going on, but it's gonna be shut down, but that tournament's not gonna be going on. But, yeah, just food for thought. Do you have any ideas, Josh?
No, that looks good. Is there anything going on? I guess the only problem I could see would be going down River Street for that detour, but I'm assuming that you'd probably try to redirect people, I guess, more towards the meadows and stuff that head out of town that way for egress per se, unless there's something going on at the village park during that time, I guess, but I can't imagine since the parade's going on.
Oh, no, the softball folks, they're usually running pretty late and they wanna get to softball. And I think it's nice to have that open just for them to be able to get to their game on time, but,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. It'd be, especially with commercial motor vehicles, they probably have to wait instead of, trying to negotiate River Street. I guess the only other thing I'm thinking about as I'm looking at this is, parking and where folks park. And traditionally, you know, and we're gonna have to, but no parking all along the staging route and the actual parade route. And traditionally, people do park in, like, you know, if they're coming from out of town, they usually park in their families' driveways or something similar, but I wonder if, we can't have a designated parking area or somehow kind of blast out some information about best places to park. And then Francis Street's also gonna be shut down immediately after the parade for the soapbox derby. So it's like, there's a lot going on, and, you know, we've considered all this when putting this together. I think parking is gonna be the next, challenge.
Yeah, if you need any more extra bodies for that too, I would certainly could help.
Okay.
I mean, I'd throw a vest on.
Right, yeah.
I know it's a lot of stuff going on,
Mhm.
so if you need anything to help for any of us, I'm sure that at least I will.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Sure, we can find a spot for you.
I don't know, I don't see a lot of people like parking in these areas as well, so I don't think as far as worrying about the little bit of time that they're gonna be sitting there, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say that, but I know we wouldn't mind at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I don't feel like the people park there, you know, to walk to the.
yeah, in years past, they haven't.
It didn't seem like, I mean, I'm sure there was always a few, but
Yeah,
it didn't seem like it was crazy.
yeah, I think maybe people would probably congregate more towards downtown.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, I'd make a motion to approve this
Parade route.
parade route start from Oak to Sunrise, Spring Street, and around.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sounds great. Okay, well, will we, bring that up to the full board then and see what he thinks. Right, well, thank you for researching that issue. That, imagine that was tricky, trying to balance all the different wants.
Yeah.
of everyone.
And like you say, it's kind of like a year by year deal, right, Joe?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how it works this year and.
Right, it's a
And
disaster.
then, you know, if there's something that we can change a little bit to make it even better, or maybe it'll be great.
Right,
Only one way to find out. Okay, great. Why don't we go on and review the municipal court budgets? It's pretty straightforward.
I think so. I agree.
you know how to make this bigger.
Why don't we go ahead and move on? Oh, I'm sorry, Josh. Did you have a chance to review the court budgets?
Yeah,
Any
everything looks
Questions
good.
or comments?
Nope, looks good.
We'll move on to the police department budget report.
Looks good.
Right on track? Should we move on to the police chief report?
Yeah. So the March incident reports are in your packet, I think. Brandon didn't do a cool graph for news. Any questions on that?
I do not.
It's pretty typical.
Mm-hmm. And then for department activities. Just kind of noting that we can continue our concert meetings, each month as we get closer and. We have a good working relationship with the sheriff's office and kind of jointly. Moving forward with. You know, all aspects of that it takes logistically to plan. And staff this, at our last chiefs meeting for St. Clair County, I did send out an invitation and a link for folks to sign up from other municipal agencies in St. Clair County, along with that MOU that, our village attorney drew up. So we're still moving forward. We still gotta get the parking permits out. The nice part is, the May concert that was on the books got canceled or moved or changed. It's no longer coming to Somerset.
Okay.
So now we have, I think July is our first major, event. So that's rolling. We did transition early to our summer schedule here, which, it's nice. Our newest hire is kind of working solo patrol now. He passed, his, field training up to this point.
Nice.
So it kind of continues throughout the probationary period. We all went to hazmat training this past month. And Zach went to, E-Ride, Advanced Roadside, paired driving enforcement. Give me a second. I'm also looking at, kind of creating a promotion, kind of creating a position. Which would probably be a lieutenant position and kind of probably getting rid of the sergeant position. There's some pros to that, be a salaried position. It's something that I'll be presenting to, finance personnel here this month. We're also looking at creating a part-time, investigator position, which I don't have anything to present on, in terms of the details of that yet, but that should be coming. And then, our squad that we ordered a long time ago is, still in limbo. It hasn't gone to production yet, but we did select, an upfitter, who's gonna give us a pretty good deal. It's gonna be used in a couple of their, shows, like a chief, conference. We'll take it down to the Dells. And they kind of highlight the different, manufacturers like Sound Off, Signal, and, Centina. So there's a bunch of stuff that we're getting for free,
Nice.
which is pretty cool.
Nice.
So that's gonna be EATI, which we typically have a good relationship with them and we've gone with them in the past. But I got 4 competitive quotes and they're by far the cheapest and all inclusive, so. I think that's it.
Great.
Oh, and our police car was not stuck at any point. I'll make a side comment on that, like, so Josh Hecht reached out to me and he's like, hey, you might wanna take a peek at that. I try not to be the Facebook police and, you know, people have their personal right to kind of say what they want but sometimes it's nice to interject, but I don't wanna also make it a point where I'm sitting monitoring the Facebook page during my shift when I have plenty of other stuff that I'm trying to accomplish, but,
What
I thought it was
happened?
kind of humorous.
Yeah, it's part of community relations, really.
What
It
was
is,
now?
yeah.
What was it?
So there was information that was put on the community page that, one of our squads got stuck in
Oh.
the snow. And, it turns out that the crossover out on the freeway wasn't well, plowed. So instead of like trying to, I wanted our camera to point in case, we did get a positive, we were setting up tire deflation devices or spike strips, stop sticks. For a stolen vehicle they were pursuing that was coming our way. And we had plenty of time to set up, but, essentially ended up parking on a snowbank, which our car did just fine doing. And, people interpreted it, well, I can see how someone could have interpreted that our car was stuck. Cause here we are out of the car, you know, accessing the trunk, getting the spike strips out, and then walking away from it. So I can see how a reasonable person would believe that we might be stuck, but, it kind of took off on the community page. And so I made a little post in response to it.
Nice.
Sounds good. Thanks for the update.
Mhm.
Why don't we go ahead and review the police and court bills? Which is.
Pretty forward.
Yeah. All right, do we have any future agenda items that we need to discuss? Anything from you, Josh, that you'd like to discuss?
No, as this is my last meeting, I'm good.
Great.
Thanks, Josh.
And I would like to definitely say thank you for your years on the board. Your advice has been indispensable. And yes, and good luck in your future endeavors.
Well, thank you. I really
Thanks,
appreciate that.
Josh.
Thanks, guys, for
We
everything.
really
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, well, I will go ahead and make a motion to adjourn.
Chris Morrell, second.
Any objections? And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Josh, one last eye?
Aye.
All right. All right, well, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
We are adjourned at 6:30.
Okay, I gotta figure out how to stop this now.